What is up, everybody? This is RBT, and here we go. First week of college football coming up. I'm very, very excited, and I'm going to go ahead and start my weekly predictions. Like I said, this is going to be every Monday at around 3, 4 o'clock. Every Monday, I'm going to have my weekly predictions for just about every single game in college football. And you may not agree with all of them, but if you disagree, just leave a comment below and let me know what you did not agree with. And yeah, and I've been wearing my glasses all day. And I hate that little stupid thing on my nose. Never wear my glasses all day, but here we go. Starting with South Carolina at Vanderbilt. I think it's a Thursday night game, the first game in college football. South Carolina, who did they start the season against a few years ago? It was on a Thursday night, and they kind of struggled. But South Carolina traditionally is always good on Thursday night games. Vanderbilt's going to be a team this year that is very, very overrated, or underrated rather, and people just go into seasons like Vandy, that's a win. That's not the case with Vanderbilt anymore. James Franklin has just absolutely changed that around, and I think Vanderbilt will pull a few upsets this year, but I don't think it's this one. It's going to be very tough for South Carolina. It's at Vanderbilt, first game of the season, or it's at Vanderbilt. I think I said that. It's at Vanderbilt, and it's going to be really tough, but I do think South Carolina wins this game, relying on 25 to 30 carries from Marcus Lattimore, and when they win this game, 28 to 17. There's a few games I'm just going to talk a lot about, like that one, and then the smaller games I'm just going to predict the score. UCF at Akron. I have Central Florida winning this game 28 to 14. Eastern Michigan at Ball State. I have Eastern Michigan win this game. The Beast of the MAC have been winning this game 31 to 14. I'm not even gonna say a lot of the games like Northern Colorado at Utah. That's assumed that Utah's gonna win that game by 87 points. UMass at Connecticut. This is UMass's first game as an FBS team. Connecticut's always a traditional team that runs the ball, just pounds the rock all game. Lyle McCombs is one of the most underrated running backs in the country. I actually picked him for my fantasy draft in college football. That's why I'm actually talking about this game. But Connecticut should have no problem with UMass. I mean, I know UMass is going to be all hyped up for this being their first game, but I still think Connecticut wins this game pretty easily. Big blowout. I say 42 to 10. UCLA at Rice. This is an interesting game. UCLA, they lost to Houston, I think, last year, and that's what set Houston off for that really good season. And UCLA, this is their first year, new head coach, Jim Mora. This could be a tricky game because it's at Rice, but it's Rice. I mean, I don't understand why they're playing at Rice here, but I think UCLA. Whoa, my God, that was a wasp. UCLA should win this game. Let's say 31 to 7. It could be tricky. Another tricky game: Texas A&M at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's probably the best team in the WAC, and they're nobody. Don't get me wrong. Louisiana Tech's always a pretty good school. They usually are one of the better teams in the non-BCS conferences that you don't hear about year in and year out. So this could be also another tricky game for A&M, but it's SEC versus the WAC. So I say Texas A&M wins this game 42 to 20. And the other good game for Thursday night, Washington State at BYU. This game is very tough to predict. This is Mike Leach's first game at Washington State. It's going to be so fun to watch this game. I'm going to stay up and watch this game even though it's at 9 o'clock. But Washington State, this is going to be so fun to watch Jeff Toole throw to Marquise Wilson all year. It's going to be insane. Heck, I'm giving Washington State the victory. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I say 42 to 40. Washington State, very close. This has already gone over 4 minutes. Friday, August 31st. I'm gonna tell you the two games from this one. Tennessee versus North Carolina State. Tennessee, admittedly, has probably one of the best passing games or passing units in the In the SEC, not by as much as it was because the Rick Rogers, probably their best wide receiver, got kicked off the team or suspended for the year or whatever. But they still probably have the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the SEC. And that's a really bad matchup for Tennessee because they don't have that great of a running game. And North Carolina State has one of the best secondaries. Not just the best secondary in the ACC, probably the best secondary in all of college football. So that's a terrible matchup for Tennessee. I hate it when Tennessee fans and SEC fans just think, oh, who's North Carolina State? If you're asking who North Carolina State is, you're not an educated college football fan and you're just retarded. Tennessee's really going to struggle in this game, and if they win, it's going to be by very close. And honestly, I do not see Tennessee winning this game. I have North Carolina State winning this game 21-17. Mike Glennon is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. He's very, very good, always efficient, very accurate, and doesn't make many mistakes. He's got to find some wide receiver threats on the outside, but with his arm strength and accuracy, I don't think he'll have a problem with that. The running game is going to struggle against Tennessee, but like I said, I have them winning 21-17. And they'll win because with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they'll be down by 3, and David Amerson will get a pick 6. That's what's going to happen. And the other Friday night game, Boise State at Michigan State. This is going to be a very, very fun game to watch. I'm probably going to watch this game other than the Tennessee-North Carolina State game. Michigan State, they do lose Kirk Cousins, but someone said their new quarterback, Andrew Maxwell, is better than Kirk Cousins, and that wouldn't surprise me. Michigan State's going to have one of the best defenses in the country, probably the best defense in the Big 12, or the Big 10, rather, sorry. Boise State replaces just about everybody, but you can never, ever look down at a Chris Peterson team, because it doesn't matter who they recruit, who they plug in to fill the void of the lost starters. They're always very, very productive. They always find somebody to rely on. I don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. I don't even know if they know who their quarterback's going to be. But it's Boise State, so no matter who Boise State plays, whoever they have, as long as they have Chris Peterson as the head coach, the game's going to be close. But with Michigan State's great defense, I have them winning the game very, very close. I say 28-24 Michigan State. Moving on to the Saturday games. Notre Dame and Navy plays at 9 a.m.? What? Okay. I didn't know about that till right now. I know they're playing in Ireland. Actually, it's 8 a.m. my time. Wow. This game is going to be... I really have no clue what to expect out of this game. I mean, with the potential jet lag of the two teams, who knows who's going to show up? Who knows what players are going to show up to this game and actually be very, very productive? Everett Golson is the starter. I believe he's going to be the starter all year. I believe he's way better than the two other quarterbacks, especially Tommy Rees. I don't think if Everett Golson has a good game, he's going to be the starting quarterback all year. I believe he needs to be. Notre Dame and Navy, they traditionally have struggled with Navy over the past few years. Especially when they went through that really, really bad stretch with Charlie Weiss. Seems like they can never beat Navy. Navy, they're always going to be a team that's going to run the clock. They're going to try to play field position. They're going to try to get those. They're going to always fight for those extra yards. But I think Notre Dame's defense, led by Manti Te'o, will beat Navy. But it's going to be very interesting, and who knows what can happen in this game, especially with it being an island. And if I had to give it a score, I say Notre Dame wins this game 35-21 by 2 touchdowns. Buffalo at Georgia. Georgia should have no problem. 42-7 Georgia. Marshall at West Virginia. This game is also something that can be tricky because it's a really, really big rivalry, and not too many people actually understand how big of a rivalry it is for both schools, even though it's dominated by West Virginia. It's at West Virginia. I'd think of it being a more tricky game if it was at Marshall, because Marshall has a really, really good game day environment at their school. But it's West Virginia. West Virginia, in my opinion, is going to be one of the better teams in the country this year. Wouldn't surprise me if they won the Big 12 year one. But West Virginia, it depends. They can go as far as their defense brings them this year. Their offense is probably the best in the country. So West Virginia wins this game. Let's say 48-20. Appalachian State at East Carolina. I don't even know why I said this game, but I always think it's interesting when Appalachian State plays FBS school week 1 because who knows what can happen. Appalachian State played Virginia Tech last year, and I think I actually predicted Appalachian State to beat them. I don't know why, and I'm not going to do that again, but I think it is going to be close. These are actually two rival schools. East Carolina fans hate Appalachian State fans, and Appalachian State fans hate East Carolina fans. I think they're actually very close to each other, like distance-wise, but I have Appalachian State losing this game. I say East Carolina hangs up 45 on them, 45-17. Northwestern at Syracuse. This game can be very interesting. It was an interesting game last year. I think Syracuse was actually, I honestly forget who won last year, but this game's in the dome for Syracuse. Northwestern could be a sleeper team in the Big Ten this year. Syracuse could be a sleeper team in the Big East this year. So there's two teams that potentially can be a dark horse for their conference this year. I'm going to go with Northwestern just because I believe Pat Fitzgerald is going to have their team ready for this game, and being a 12 o'clock game on ESPN at Syracuse, they're not really used to that, I guess you could say, but I think Northwestern wins this game. Really close, low-scoring game. I'll say 20-17 Northwestern. Now, I'm trying not to let this go any more than 20 minutes, so let's try to speed this up a little bit. Ohio at Penn State. Very, very interesting game here. I do not have Penn State winning this game. I do not. But a few years ago, Ohio surprised Ohio State on week 1 and came so close to beating Ohio State that first game of that season. I think it was the last year or the year before. But Ohio, so it seems like they're always ready week 1, especially when they're playing a big-time school such as Penn State. And with everything Penn State has gone through, that's not a good thing for Penn State when they're playing a team like Ohio week 1. I mean, I'm sure Penn State's players who are still there are going to be motivated, but I believe Penn State has an absolutely disastrous season this year, and for the next 4 seasons, it'll only get worse. So I say it's so hard to pick because it's Penn State versus Ohio, but I do say Ohio wins this game. I say Ohio wins this game 24-17 over Penn State. Western Michigan at Illinois. This could be a close game. Western Michigan almost upset Illinois last year, but I say Western Michigan does get beat this year. It's at Illinois. 12 o'clock game, low scoring game. I say 17-10 Illinois. Nevada at California. I'm only saying this because if you watch my NCAA 13 prediction video, Nevada beat California or Cal week 1, so that's interesting. But I do have Cal winning this game 24. It's a lot of 24s. Let's make it 27. 27-14 over Nevada, with Nevada's traditional pistol offense. Southern Miss at Nebraska. This could be a kind of trap game. Well, not a trap game. That's for week 1, but a kind of overlooked game for Nebraska. Southern Miss is always going to be a really good school. No matter who the head coach is, they're loaded with talent. Loaded with talent per standards of the Conference USA conference. They're always going to be a decent school. Nebraska, this is their first game of the year. I don't see Southern Miss was loaded last year with seniors, so they lost a lot of seniors, so that's going to be detrimental to the team. And don't be surprised if this is a close game, but I do have Nebraska winning this game. Let's make it 37-17. Bowling Green at Florida. This game could be interesting with the QB situation at Florida. I'm still not sold on Florida at all. I'm not sold on their defense, not sold on their offense, not sold on anything. And until they prove to me that I can be sold on any of that, that I do not have them being successful at all. I mean, it's Bowling Green they're playing, so I have them having a win, but they're going to struggle, and I believe they're going to struggle for a long time until they can prove to me that they have a core group of players that can lead this team and can lead this team to be successful. With that said, I do have Florida winning this game. Let's give it 30-27 30-14 over Bowling Green. Colorado State versus Colorado. The Fighting McElwains versus Colorado. Colorado's been the bottom dweller of the Pac-12, and nothing will make me change that until they do on the board, on the stat sheet, and there's nothing to show me that that's gonna be a difference this year. They lost a lot of guys. They've gone through coaching controversy, a bunch of stuff, and Colorado State, they're hungry. This is their biggest game of the year. This is their rivalry game. This is the Iron Bowl week 1 for Colorado. And Colorado State, I believe, with their first game as Jim McElwain as head coach, upsets Colorado. I believe Colorado State wins this game. I mean, it is going to be close because it's a BCS school versus a Mountain West school. But I do believe Colorado State gets the upset. I don't even know if you'd call it an upset, but I say they win this game 27-21 over Colorado. Moving on. LSU should have no problem with North Texas. I'm not even going to say a score for that. Clemson versus Auburn. Very surprising that Dabo Swinney didn't uphold the suspension against Sammy Watkins for this first game. That kind of hurts Clemson. Well, it really hurts Clemson when you have probably the best wide receiver in college football out for this game. But Auburn, nothing about Auburn scares me this year. This reminds me a lot of the year when they went from that spread eagle attack to whatever offense they called, when it was more of a pro-style offense with Cody Burns at quarterback. And I think that's what's going to happen this year with Kyle Frazier at quarterback because, I mean, obviously he's not that well of an established passer because last year they were scared to death to let him throw the ball. And when you're putting him in a pro-style offense, I don't know what... I mean, it's just none of this makes sense to me, and nothing about Auburn scares me. They have no good threats at wide receiver. Their only threat on offense really is Philip Lutzenkirchen. Ontario McCaleb has yet to sell me on him and sell me on how he can be a SEC running back and run week in and week out for 15 to 20 carries. I know he has Trey Mason. Trey Mason's even smaller. I know Trey Mason put on like 20 pounds this year, but I'm still not sold on him yet. I know they're both speed backs and very, very capable of getting in space, but that doesn't work in the SEC week in and week out. I mean, you might get lucky here and there, but that doesn't work for you every week. So just nothing about Auburn scares me, and nobody in their defense scares me. I think Auburn's still a year away from being SEC contender, and I believe Clemson does win this game. I say they win this game pretty fair. Let's say 38-20. No. 34-20 Clemson over Auburn. Please don't tell me it says 20 minutes yet. 17, I got 2 minutes. I'm not saying any of the FCS matchups. Florida International at Duke. Florida International has a really, really good head coach. But I think David Cutcliffe is it might take him 5 years, but I think eventually you're gonna see Duke rise in ACC year in and year out and get a little bit better each year because David Cutcliffe is a really, really good head coach, and Duke has a really good quarterback in Sean Renfree, so they might be a team to upset a few schools this year. And I don't think they should have any problem with Florida International, even though Florida International is a school that could be dangerous this year, especially in the Sun Belt. They probably will win the Sun Belt, but I think this will be a close game. I say Duke wins this game. Say 24-20 Duke. Hawaii at USC. USC always struggles with Hawaii week 1. Doesn't matter if they're playing at home or away, but USC is the #1 team in the country. Hawaii is Hawaii. They have Norman Chow as the head coach now, so it'll be very interesting to see their offense this year because Hawaii is always a fun team to watch no matter who they have. I loved watching them in the Colt Brennan days. But USC, agreed, is the best team. I hate USC just about as much as I hate Auburn, but USC is admittedly the best team in the country, and until they lose a game, that's what I'm going to believe. And until they prove me wrong, I'm going to say they're going to win the national championship. But I can see where they might struggle with Hawaii because it's Hawaii, and like I said, they always struggle against Hawaii. But I don't think they should have a problem. If they struggle, it won't be too bad. I say USC wins this game 42-14. And this might be the last. Well, I have a few more. Michigan and Alabama. My TTC for this game's coming up tomorrow, so I'm just gonna give you a score. I'm not gonna say anything about the game right now, but I'm gonna give you a score. Alabama 31, Michigan 17. Wyoming, Texas. It's gonna be very interesting to watch this game. Texas with their old Longhorn network, ideal. But Texas, I think, struggled with Wyoming. They played at Wyoming either last year, or I think it's last year. Colt McCoy was there, so Wyoming is a team that gives Texas fits, but it's Wyoming, and I say Texas wins this game 30. Why am I saying 30 for every game? Let's go ahead and give it 41 to 14. Rutgers at Tulane. That could be a tough one for Rutgers, playing in the Superdome in front of 5 fans of Tulane, so that could be interesting. But Rutgers should have no problem. I'm not even give a score for that. Oklahoma at UTEP. What's up with all the bigger schools playing at places like UTEP? That's kind of weird. Really weird, actually. Oklahoma shouldn't have a problem, though. It might be kind of, like I said, kind of strange. It always, if you're a big school, it should always scare you when you're going away to a place like UTEP. That should always give you something to think about. But Oklahoma should win this game 45 to 10. They should have no problem. And that's going to be the last game I talk about. Well, actually, San Diego State and Washington. Washington is my dark horse for the Pac-12 this year. They should have no problem with San Diego State. 38 to 10, Washington. 3 more games to talk about. I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. I'm probably like in 85 minutes. I'm in 21 minutes, and this is going to take me a year to upload. Kentucky at Louisville. Louisville is probably going to win the Big East this year, either them or South Florida. Kentucky's an SEC school, and this game is really hard to predict. Big East versus SEC, bottom dweller of the SEC, topper of the Big East. So I'm going to give Louisville the edge, and it's really tough to do, and it's really hard to comprehend, but I do think Louisville wins this game. Let's say 24 to 17 over Kentucky. SMU at Baylor. This can be a tricky game for Baylor because SMU is always going to be a great school with June Jones at the head coach of SMU with that air raid type of offense. They have a really good quarterback in Kyle Padron, and he might be hurt, or I think something in my mind's telling me that he's not playing, but I might be wrong about that. But whoever the quarterback is for June Jones is going to put up insane numbers, so this is going to be kind of tricky without RG3 at quarterback. See how Nick Florence does. He filled in last year when RG3 was hurt. He filled in the year RG3 was hurt with his torn Achilles or ACL, whatever it was, the year before last. So he has somewhat of some experience. So he should lead Baylor. This could be a really high-scoring game. I'm going to say 45 to 35 Baylor. And the last game, Labor Day night, Georgia Tech at Virginia Tech. This is a really tough game to predict because I believe Georgia Tech has just as good a chance as Virginia Tech to win the ACC. But just something tells me that Virginia Tech will not lose at home, at night, first game of the season against Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech is probably the most experienced team coming back in the ACC. But I don't know if that necessarily means they're the most talented. So I think Georgia Tech loses this game. But I do believe Georgia Tech surprises some people the rest of the year and gets a win or two that's not expected. And I think, don't be surprised if they win their division in the ACC. That would not surprise me at all. But I do think week 1, Virginia Tech wins this game 27 to 17 against Georgia Tech. So that's been it, guys. Sorry it took a long time and trying to cut this down week by week. It's been 25 minutes, and thank you to everybody who's tuned into the whole video. Just leave me a comment below on your opinions on what games I predicted and whatnot. I'll see you guys later, and I'll see you guys. This will be every Monday at around 4 o'clock. See you guys later, and as always, roll tide, go Sox, and go Titans to you. See you later.